And today, the trail takes us to Texas, where the race for governor is heating up over a controversial ad from Democratic underdog Wendy Davis against her Republican opponent, Greg Abbott.
A tree fell on Greg Abbott. He sued and got millions. Since then, he spent his career working against other victims. Abbott argued a woman whose leg was amputated was not disabled because she had an artificial limb. He ruled against a rape victim who sued a corporation for failing to do a background check on a sexual predator. He sided with a hospital that failed to stop a dangerous surgeon who paralyzed patients. Greg Abbott, he's not for you.
And Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott, leading in most public polls, responded on Fox last night.
My reaction is that if she wants to attack a guy in a wheelchair, that's her prerogative. As for me, I'm running a different type of campaign. It shows that her campaign is focused on one thing, and that is attacking me and addressing me. What Texans really want, they want a governor who has a vision for their fellow Texans and for a brighter future.
Texas State Senator and Democratic nominee for Governor Wendy Davis joins me now. Very good to see you, Senator. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Andrea.
Why this wheelchair ad? I know the thrust of the ad, talking to your people, your supporters, was to point out what you see as the hypocrisy of Greg Abbott not supporting benefits and settlements for other victims of accidents such as he received himself. But do you think that the graphic showing the empty wheelchair, focusing on his being wheelchair bound, crossed a line?
Andrea, this ad really is about one thing and one thing only. It is the fact that Greg Abbott was at the receiving end of a tragic accident, and he was able to receive justice for himself when he sued a homeowner and a tree company after a tree fell on him. He received millions of dollars in a settlement. And since then, in his entire public service career, he has been working to kick that ladder down and deny that same opportunity for justice to other people. We saw it here in our state, where a woman was raped by a door-to-door salesman who came to her door. A company failed to do a background check on him. He brutally raped her while her children slept in the next room. And Greg Abbott ruled as a Supreme Court justice that she should have no right to sue that company. He also just recently intervened in a suit on behalf of a hospital who was allowing a surgeon who for many months had been operating allegedly under the influence of cocaine, whose medical professional associates referred to him as a sociopath. People went into surgery to have routine spinal surgeries to wake up and find themselves paralyzed. And Greg Abbott has intervened in a way to protect the actions of that doctor and that hospital that failed to do anything about it. That's the point of this ad, and it's part of a larger message in this campaign about who he is. I have a strong and long record of fighting for hardworking Texans, and Greg Abbott has a strong and long record of fighting for insiders at the expense of those hardworking Texans, and we felt it was a very fair and important ad to point that out.
Well, let me share with our viewers an excerpt from today's Houston Chronicle. The editorial board reaction to this wrote, "With Wendy Davis trailing so close to Election Day, it should be no surprise that her campaign tried for a low blow. The now infamous 30-second spot titled Justice was supposed to point out the hypocrisy of Attorney General Greg Abbott fighting against victims in courts after he himself collected a multi-million-dollar settlement. The ad missed the mark, coming off more like a glib attack on Abbott for using a wheelchair." The point being, Senator, could you have gone after what you see as his hypocrisy by pointing out what he did in that rape case, what he did in these other cases, without this stark image of the empty wheelchair, which seemed to be trying to point people towards his own supposed disability?
Andrea, what I'm hearing is most important as a part of this race, and that's the response of voters across this state. voters who believe that it's outrageous that he has engaged in this hypocrisy, and who are now informed about who he is, asking to be their governor, who it is that he's been fighting for and will continue to fight for, and the fact that he will be fighting against them. And the important thing about this ad is that voters now see Greg Abbott for who he is. And of course, in an election, that's entirely the point.
Do you see this as the central issue of your campaign, rather than, for instance, the shutting down of the clinics throughout the state, which have made it so difficult for women throughout Texas to go to Planned Parenthood and get medically necessary abortions?
The central theme, the overarching issue for Texas voters to decide on November the 4th is whether they are going to choose a governor who will fight for all hardworking people, or whether they will choose a governor who has shown time and time again that he's going to sell them out. In our state right now, we have a severe underfunding of our public schools. I fought that cut to our schools through a filibuster in 2011, a $5.5 billion cut. Greg Abbott has been in court ever since, fighting to keep those cuts in place. This is about who will be a governor who is going to lead Texas in the 21st century economy and create an economy that works for all hardworking people by investing in the people of this state and making sure that they have an opportunity. That's certainly my story as a Texan, a young woman who came from poverty to success because of the opportunity that education provided for me. And that's what I'm fighting for. I think people across this state understand that it's time for a governor who's going to fight to increase our minimum wage, who's going to fight to make sure that women are paid equally for equal work, who's going to fight to make sure that women's reproductive rights in this state are respected, who's going to fight to make sure we bring $100 billion of our Medicaid expansion money back to work for us in Texas rather than sending it to New York or California. This is the choice between these two candidates. It's a choice between someone who will be fighting for them and be their voice every day, and someone who has shown time and time again that he'll sell them out for his insiders and donors whose favor he seeks.
And you don't think it was a personal attack?
Absolutely not. This is about who he has been as a public servant, and we've seen it time and time again. He took $100,000 from the Koch brothers and then reversed decades of practice in Texas and ruled that families no longer have a right to know where chemicals are stored, even if they're stored right next to their homes or where their children go to school. He took $340,000 from payday lenders and then gave them the green light to charge military families and teachers and other hardworking Texans unlimited fees in our state. He took $700,000 from Farmers Insurance, and then he presented to the court a settlement that absolutely sold out the insureds of this state, a settlement that was so bad that the judge accused him of laying down to Farmers Insurance. Time and again, he has shown that this is who he's fighting for. He's fighting for the insiders, not for the hardworking people in our state.
Wendy Davis, thank you so very much. Good to see you.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you.